Everybody, fellow entrepreneur, back again for another video, and I make videos almost every single day, so hit that subscribe button if you want to hear me ramble some more. But today, I want to do a video on basically report card for Trump and his handling of the corona messy pandemic that we're all dealing with right now. It's been about 45 days, depending on where you put the starting point out, since this all began, and it seemed like a good time to kind of step back a little bit and again rate his performance, because I didn't want to wait for 2 months, and he's kind of had some messy slip ups. It's not been a good week for him, I guess. So, but looking at the bigger picture and how he's been doing on this whole situation, unprecedented situation in many respects. That being said, a couple things, right? First of all, I am an educator, so I guess report card just maybe seems natural to me. But two, I am not some angry Trump, orange man bad type of hater guy. So if you're just expecting me to dunk on Trump all day, go watch some other YouTuber. I'm sure there's tons of them that are going to do that. Again, I'm history teacher is kind of what I am, so that's how I kind of view things through a historical lens, and again looking at the bigger picture and definitely referencing the past. So that being said, if you're okay with that, I want to start at the very beginning, right? And what grade do I give Trump at the beginning of this pandemic? I'm going back to January, because that's kind of when this all began, right? If you were paying attention, if you had a pulse, if you were in the know, you knew things weren't good in China, that there was something happening in a little town called Wuhan, and it had potential to become very devastating, right? So I was not making videos at the time. I would have been Chicken Little running around, claiming the sky is falling. Check my YouTube feed, you'll see why. But a lot of bad news coming from this area, and a lot of bad anecdotes and stories and leaks, and it was not good. This was not, people pretty quickly, just looking at the Chinese response, this was not SARS, this was not bird flu, this was a little more frightening, I guess you could say, right? And Trump did apparently nothing during this time, so I'm going to give him an F way back in January, right? There has been news reports I saw just yesterday that he was briefed on this back in January. It's not a surprise, as the president, every day I think he gets the little daily update briefings on the world and potential hotspots and emerging dangers. And as we've seen presidents do in the past, a potential dangerous situation seems to have been ignored. So he could have bought some valuable time, and hell, I don't know, start stocking up on goddamn masks at this time or something to maybe prepare, because it looked like this was going to come to us sooner or later. You can't just wave your wand and wish it away. Come back to that. So definitely an F, because you could have got something. They don't want to cause a panic. I get it. He got a lot of guff for some of the early measures he took, so he probably would have taken a lot of flack, maybe how he done. But I mean, behind the scenes, prep something to get your country ready for this. When you had a head start, you saw what was coming, totally ignored, and that's just a total failure in any regard. So the lowest F possible, right? Back in January, early February, very much a failure, right? Then when things started to maybe kind of go global, like you started seeing corona in other countries, Trump actually was kind of quick to respond in some areas, right? Remember, he famously cut off all travel between the United States and Europe. Flights were still coming in from China regularly, but for whatever reason, this was, I think, Iran and Italy were like the big hotspots back in this day. This was kind of back in Valentine's and in middle February. So travel ban on Europe. I think a couple of days later, maybe it got extended to England a little bit, and he got tons of flack for this in the press. He reminded people about this, how he tried to get in front, a little bit late for my liking, but basically trying to kind of can't completely quarantine the United States, but realizing this may be a situation, and was trying to get in front of this and again limit exposure as best you could in the United States, um, you know, between travel and other nations that had infections. It was not very popular. People making fun of him at the time, and that was pretty, he'll get made fun of for anything. But he did get a lot of flack for this. But he stayed the course, didn't change his mind so much, and he saw those restrictions kind of grow and grow a little bit over time. So on that, I'll give him a B, right? So kind of mid-February with those travel bans, definitely the right thing to do. I think maybe 2020 hindsight now would have been better if they were a little more inclusive, like why was not China involved, and maybe start a little earlier. But that's kind of when maybe some people may have heard of this for the first time. Maybe when some people started maybe take it seriously for the first time. But you could see that this was going to affect the United States. I think you even had a couple early cases showing up. One case here and two cases there, which ironically probably was way under the norm, way under the actual infection rate. But you were starting to see this becoming a thing. So, like I said, I'll give them like a B in that part. Try to stop some travel. People want to say immigration. No, it's just travel. But a good try in a balanced attempt. Probably utterly useless. But again, it had to be done. It was a good thing to do. So good call on that. Give them a B. Okay. Then we start heading into March, and March is when things start to slide, right? It was almost like dominoes, if you remember, those first couple of weeks of March. You had a lot of big events starting to get canceled, and then an NBA player. That's kind of what really seemed to light the match. Is that an NBA player got corona? They shut down all games that night, and then like the next day, the NBA suspended the season. There was a lot of question marks at this time. How deadly is this thing? And how widespread is it? And how does it transfer and get infected? There was still toilet paper on the shelves, so this was a long time ago. But NBA canceled, right? The season, or they postponed it or something, right? And then you saw really quickly other sports canceled their seasons as well, and then concerts are getting canceled, and major events are getting canceled, and just within a couple days, it is shut down. Everything, schools start to close, businesses start to, it's shelter in place, and it is kind of when the shit hit the fan, I guess you could say, as each state and big companies and organizations realized that they kind of had to take matters into their own hands. So he was kind of absent at this point, very much absent actually, because he would be going in front of his press conferences and the news cameras and basically downplaying all of this, which makes no sense, right? We've we've hit the spike, or it's just the flu. More people die from the flu every year than he had no idea how many people die from the flu each year or something like that, right? Told you I ramble, right? But he was totally downplaying all of this, right? When you looked at other organizations escalating their response, he was trying to calm everybody, I guess. But again, probably not the right call to be doing. You got these other organizations taking things seriously. I could see maybe again he doesn't want to create a sense of panic. He doesn't want to create a hoarding condition or whatever it was. But looking back, he was definitely wrong. It was not going to go away. It was not just going to be like a flu. And so his response there, I'll give him a D, right? Not an F, because I think he was trying to downplay this and stay cool. But again, it's too late at this point. Good intentions and wishing doesn't do anything at this point. You got to take some action. So a D in that part. Then things got serious, right? People ain't getting paychecks. People are getting furloughed. How are we going to pay the rent? Small businesses are going under, right? The economic fallout of just shutting the economy, full stop, hitting a wall basically, 60 miles an hour, was starting to become very, very real. And Trump, and he loves bragging about his economy. He loves bragging about his stock market, and it was getting crashed. So can't have that. He's attached himself to that economy, and so I hope that's not the only reason, but I think that was a big part of his calculation. Is if the market's bad, I look bad, so we got to try and the rookie numbers, we got to prop those numbers up, and so he helped force through and sign this huge stimulus bill, which is still amazing to think of. Is that for the first real time that I can remember, the government is actually bailing out Main Street. And this is huge. It helped a lot of people. $1,200 is not enough to replace a lost job. I get it. I understand. But I mean, every time this happens, we know the playbook. We know what happens, right? Bailouts to the banks, bailouts to the airlines, bailouts to the big industries. We can't let them go under. But the American person, citizen, the average American, you're on your own, right? It's your fault. But not this time, right? We actually bailed out your average Joe, which is just having been conditioned for so long to expect money going up the ladder. It was refreshing to see people getting actual immediate relief and aid from the government. And I'm not calling it universal basic income yet, but kind of a little, massive nationwide experiment. I made a video on that a while ago, my thoughts on it. But very helpful, very needed, very unexpected. A lot of people heard rumors of this, myself included. It will never happen. Why? They're not going to do that. Those jokers on Capitol Hill. It happened. And again, it's not enough. It's not really going to help anyone in danger. But just again, to really see someone, and I'll give credit where credit is due, right? Trump got it passed. He signed it. He made it happen, and he made it happen quick. That was huge, and that did for people who were really in trouble. That's exactly what they needed to get through this time. So on that, I'll give him an A. Here we go. That's an A, whatever. Just because it's unprecedented, never happened before, and could be game changing. We might be seeing more of these coming out in the future now as ways to. This might be a little frightening to prop up the economy whenever it starts to sag. Let's just throw money at the people now. Trickle up economics, spend it and get things going. We will see what happens, but that I'll give them an A on that. Since that though, it's been kind of downhill because nothing is really happening, right? I'm not saying this is Trump's fault entirely. It's this huge virus pandemic. You're the president. I mean, there's only so much you can do. It's a virus. The doctors are in charge now, and Trump was giving his press briefings, and again, those are very much a mixed bag. In the beginning, a lot of people seemed to be watching them. I had other things to do, but nothing else really to watch, and people wanted to get information on what's going on and how to help themselves. And you got Dr. Fauci. I made a video on him as well. Anyway, it's been troubling because he's gotten in quarrels with his experts. People have left certain positions in charge of distributing bailout money or maybe organizing efforts. Mike Pence, I thought in the beginning, was in charge of this corona response task force. What the hell is he doing? Where the hell has he gone? It's just Trump kind of every day now in front of the podium answering questions. But it just seems like he has no idea what is going on, or the country has no rudder in this case and no direction, using lights and bleach, not to drink, but jokingly maybe, or just experiments. We're going to try this, is what he actually said. But people in the news and social media hear that, and they're off to the races making memes and jokes about drinking Clorox, which again he did not say, but he, for all intents and purposes, is what people believe he said now. Those have not been good. And so when it comes to the post bailout era, weeks or something, the days afterwards, sorry, not good on that. And so I'll give them a D again, because it's just been, you're the president. You're supposed to uplift. You're supposed to raise morale. You're supposed to provide leadership, and if nothing else, like a calm harbor in times of uncertainty. Look no further than like FDR during the New Deal and that Great Depression, and how he tried to go on the radio and soothe people's fears and give them some confidence. Trump ain't doing that. So on that, definitely, what I say, a C? No, give him a D. He's been doing terribly on these, unfortunately. When all he really has to do is just try and show a strong face and try and keep it positive. But it's just always, he loves to point fingers. He loves to lay blame. And it's just not what we really need to hear right now. With the last part, just going forward, it looks like we are at the point some states are starting to reopen. And with that, I'll give him, I guess, a C on that. That's also been a mixed bag. Georgia was like off to the races to reopen first, and he was in favor of that. But then when backlash hit, he backtracked and threw Georgia under the bus. However, he is kind of leaving it, it seems, to the states to decide when they want to open. There's no universal mandate coming down from Capitol Hill. Everyone opens up at this time. Of course, I know he wanted them to open up at Easter, and I mean, again, like I said, he got some bad grades before. But that's probably the right call. Each state is different and has different situations and circumstances, and each state knows its corona caseload better than anybody else. So it should be up to the states to decide when they are ready to open. So I can't blame him on that. I would not want an overarching government telling everybody at this time what to do. That's considering the situation and this virus and pandemic. Not every state is the same, so let them choose. That's good. But again, just how he's delivering that message maybe isn't great. So I'll give him a C on that. All right. So in total, what's his grade for this whole thing? I'm going to give him not an F, even though that's for me. I'm the failed entrepreneur. I'm going to give him a D. It's not been great. The highlight probably was the Trump bucks that came out a couple weeks ago, trying to get in front of this with the travel bans to try and limit maybe the exposure. It looked good, probably very ineffective, but I mean, it was the right call. And maybe had he done it a little earlier, and maybe a little stricter, things may be a little changed right now. But again, we're such an open society, probably not. But yeah, a D, because it's not more misses than hits. And if it wasn't for the Trump bucks, the Main Street bailout, it would have been a very, very dismal F. So unfortunately, could have been better. But hey, again, this has not really happened before, unless you go back, I don't know, to Wilson and the Spanish flu over 100 years ago. But this is kind of uncharted territory. And again, just in his defense, I mean, I know he's president, but what could he do? There's not a lot the president can do in this situation when it's a virus that just spreads person to person very easily in an open society like the United States. You could see we were going to get hit very hard by this just because of the way we're built, because of the people we are, our society. And you put the best president on that podium, they probably weren't going to be able to do much to change it. But the messaging could probably be very different. I will agree on that. So that's all for today. A big red D for Trump. And sorry, could have done better. But in this case, maybe this is his Katrina. I don't know. It could have been handled better. He could have knocked this out of the park. He had warning. He had tons of. We all did. But he chose to kind of wish it away, or unfortunately put his head in the sand, and it seems to hope beyond hope it wouldn't affect him. Sorry, it did. All right, I got things to do today. Went a little bit long, but I appreciate you sticking through this, and I got things to do. I know you do too. I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching.